brought to you by Thomas Allgaier and Frennis. This edition highlights key LinkedIn posts on electrification and battery technology in weeks 18 and 19. Frennis is a B2B market research company that supports automotive suppliers with building feature-by-feature competitive intelligence that shows exactly how their product stacks up against the competition. You can find more info in the description.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. So glad you were joining us today because we are looking at the absolute cutting edge of electrification and battery technology.
Yeah, exactly.
We're unpacking the top trends, the raw, unfiltered reality of the mobility sector, pulling insights sourced straight from the industry's brightest minds on LinkedIn over the past 2 weeks.
Right, and if you work anywhere in this space, whether you are managing a commercial fleet, designing components, or you're just, trying to figure out where the market is going, you probably feel this massive tension right now.
Oh, absolutely.
We have these staggering technological breakthroughs happening in the lab, but they are colliding head-on with the gritty logistical reality of manufacturing. And deployment, really.
Yeah, it is constant friction, right, between what is scientifically possible and what is actually profitable. And honestly, there is nowhere that friction is more obvious right now than at the core of the revolution.
The battery cell.
Exactly, the battery itself. Because, the industry's definition of fast charging didn't just inch forward recently. It was completely rewritten.
It really was. We saw these great posts from Caleb Boyd and Claudio Geiken, and they highlighted a massive leap. We were talking about BYD's new Blade 2.0 and CATL's Shaanxi 3.0 batteries.
Oh, yeah. Those numbers are wild.
Right. The headline number they shared is that these batteries are charging from 10% to 80% in under 4 minutes.
Under 4 minutes? Let that sink in.
Yeah, and Caleb Boyd broke down how CATL is actually doing this mechanically. He mentioned their use of isotropic graphite.
Right, isotropic.
And I have to admit, I know what regular graphite is, but making it isotropic, what does that actually do inside the battery?
Okay, so think of a traditional graphite anode inside a battery, like a parking garage.
Okay.
But it only has one entrance and a lot of really narrow one-way ramps. So when you plug in a fast charger, you are basically sending thousands of cars, which are the lithium ions, into that garage all at once.
And they just get totally backed up.
Exactly. They get bottlenecked trying to find that one entry point.
Yeah.
But what CATL has done with isotropic graphite is they essentially redesigned the garage. It's now this massive open plaza with entrances on every single side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the lithium ions can be inserted into the graphite channel from literally any angle. And, BYD is doing something really similar with their 3D high-speed lithium ion intercalation.
Intercalation, right. So they've physically removed the traffic jams at the microscopic level.
Basically, yeah.
That is just an incredible engineering feat. If you think about the user experience, moving from a 40-minute charge down to under 4 minutes is a total paradigm shift.
It changes everything.
It feels like the jump from a screeching dial-up internet connection straight to downloading a 4K movie on gigabit fiber. Range anxiety just evaporates, If you can fill up your battery faster than you can walk into the convenience store to buy a coffee.
It absolutely changes the consumer math. But, and this is a big but, we really have to ground this in the brutal reality of the manufacturing floor.
Right. Having
the best chemistry or, the most elegant microscopic parking garage, it doesn't guarantee you will survive as a business. Inabehe Ufot, and the account known as Battery Doc, shared some incredibly sobering news for the European battery ecosystem recently.
Oh, you mean the insolvency of Morrow batteries in Norway?
Yeah, they just filed for bankruptcy.
I saw that. But wait, why did Morrow fail if they had strong technology? I understand they were focusing on next-gen LNMO chemistry while, using LFP cells to get their initial foothold. That sounds smart.
It does, but let's break down those acronyms quickly because it explains the exact trap they fell into. So LFP, lithium iron phosphate, that's the cheaper, incredibly durable battery chemistry that China has essentially mastered.
Right, and mass-produced.
Mass-produced at a scale the rest of the world just can't touch right now. Now, LNMO is a next-generation chemistry that removes expensive cobalt entirely, and it operates at a higher voltage.
Okay.
So Morrow's strategy was to use the safer, proven LFP to generate initial revenue, right? And then use that to develop the cutting-edge LNMO.
Right, it's like a bridge. That sounds like a really solid transition plan on paper.
On paper, yes, but the scale gap is what killed them. They opened a plant in 2024 with 1 gigawatt hour of annual capacity.
Oh, wow. That's it.
Yeah. For context, if you look at Volkswagen's PowerCo facility in Salzgitter, they are targeting 20 gigawatt hours.
All right. Massive difference.
So Morrow was trying to survive the Valley of Death, that incredibly expensive phase between running a pilot line and achieving true mass production. And they were doing this while facing an oversupplied global market, plus crushing price pressure from Chinese LFP imports.
And very high financing costs, I imagine.
Exactly. It just proves that you need massive patient capital to play in cell manufacturing today.
Well, if Europe is struggling to compete on the mass production cost floor right now, I mean, if that gap is just too wide for startups to cross, it makes me wonder something.
What's that?
Shouldn't the industry be looking at the next phase of the life cycle, like recycling, before it becomes a total emergency?
It's funny you say that because some of the sharpest strategists are doing exactly that.
Really?
Yeah. Julian Renpenning posted a brilliant breakdown of a company called Silib. And they are proactively trying to build Europe's battery recycling sovereignty.
Oh, sell it. Yeah.
And what really stands out is their timing. They are building industrial recycling infrastructure, including specific lines dedicated to those cheap LFP batteries right now.
Wait, why build massive recycling plants before the huge wave of end-of-life batteries has even hit the market? Doesn't a recycling business need volume to survive?
That is the traditional thinking, sure. But Silib is playing the long game here. By securing the capability now, they're actually qualifying their recycled lithium carbonate with the major auto manufacturers ahead of time.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, the automotive supply chain requires rigorous, years-long testing to approve a material. If you wait until the scrap volume peaks to start building the plant and getting the certifications, you are already 5 years too late.
So they're stress testing the domestic supply chain so it's ready when the dam breaks.
Exactly.
They are building the safety net before the acrobat even jumps. That's smart. But, let's connect this back to your daily experience as a driver or maybe a fleet operator. You can have a vehicle that charges in 4 minutes running on perfectly recycled lithium.
Right.
But literally none of that matters if the plug on the side of the highway is just a dead chunk of plastic.
Which brings us to the actual business of pumping electrons. Because ultra-fast batteries are completely useless if the public charging infrastructure isn't reliable. And right now, the economics of being a charge point operator, a CPO, are incredibly hostile.
Hostile is an understatement, honestly. Junaid M. shared this alarming post about how 2 UK CPOs just collapsed into administration in the first 100 days of the year.
Yeah, that was wild to read.
And the really interesting part is that they aren't failing because people aren't driving EVs. They're failing because of the hidden operational costs. It's like this software and payment iceberg beneath the surface.
Exactly. Junaid pointed out things the public never sees, like fraud configuration. I mean, the way a CPO handles a fraud attack on a slow AC charger has to be entirely different than on a high-speed DC charger. And mismanaging that, it drains margins overnight.
Yeah.
Then there is the whole nightmare of pre-authorization handling.
Oh, I've experienced that personally. You plug in, the machine puts like a $50 hole in your credit card,
Right.
And then you only actually use $15 of electricity.
Right. And in a perfect system, that difference is instantly refunded. But in reality, drivers are waiting days for those refunds to clear through the banking layers. So what happens? They get angry, they call the CPO's customer service line,
Oh, man.
and suddenly the CPO is paying human support agents to resolve a $35 discrepancy. That entirely wipes out whatever tiny profit they made from that charging session.
That totally erases it. And Tamar Chanlo highlighted an even deeper cash flow problem regarding roaming platforms.
Yeah.
When you use a third-party app to pay for charging, that money bounces through a chain of e-mobility service providers before it ever reaches the physical station owner.
Oh, yeah.
She noted that CPOs are sometimes waiting up to 3 months to actually get paid for the energy they already dispensed.
Just put yourself in the shoes of that business owner for a second. You have to fund a multi-million-dollar hardware installation. You have to pay the massive grid electricity bill to the utility company up front. You have to maintain the cables, the screens, and then you wait a full quarter for the revenue to trickle in. It is essentially forcing CPOs to act as free, zero-interest banks for the entire mobility ecosystem.
That is brutal. So who actually survives that kind of financial pressure?
Well, Orlin Radevi shared a pretty stark analysis on this. The pure-play charging model is struggling. It might be dying. If your only business is selling electricity at a plug, you are in trouble.
Wow.
Which is why about 70% of European fast charging stations are not yet profitable. The players who are actually winning in 2026 are the ones pairing charging with retail or loyalty programs or destinations.
Oh, like cross-subsidizing.
Exactly. Liz Allen posted a perfect example of this with Sainsbury's. They just launched their massive Smart Charge hub. It's at London Colney, and it makes it the UK's largest supermarket ultra-rapid charging hub.
Oh, interesting.
For them, the chargers are just a magnet. They don't mind if the margin on the electricity is razor thin because you are going to walk inside and buy $50 worth of groceries while you wait.
The charging drives the retail, and the retail subsidizes the charging. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
But there are pure play exceptions, right? Stian Matheson shared a note that Recharge, their CPO in the Nordics, they recently hit EBITDA positive. And they did it by optimizing their operations. Just ruthless discipline.
Yeah, that's true.
They shifted more payments to direct credit card terminals right on the charger, which cuts out the middleman and the roaming platforms. And that fixes that 90-day cash flow delay.
They took control of their own payment pipeline. But let's look at the actual driver experience for a second, because we talk about margins and EBITDA, but pulling up to a public charger still feels like a gamble right now.
Oh, absolutely. So what about that driver experience?
Well, Sebastian Hensler shared a startling stat from Monta's COO that quantifies that exact feeling. 1 in 5 public charging sessions in Europe currently fails.
Wait, 1 in 5?
A 20% failure rate. If 1 out of every 5 gas station pumps just didn't dispense fuel, the public would riot.
Seriously, why is it that high? Is it just broken screens and cut cables from vandalism?
Vandalism plays a part, sure, but the vast majority is software. It is a failure in the digital handshake between the car, the charger, the payment provider, and the grid.
Right, too many chefs in the kitchen.
Exactly. There are too many translation layers, and if just one times out, the whole session fails. Felix Hamer drove across Europe and noted that the industry just has to stop measuring success by merely counting the number of plugs in the ground.
Yeah, it's not just a numbers game anymore.
The real frontier is velocity, having high-power, reliable chargers paired with amenities and real pricing transparency.
Okay, so if passenger cars are blowing out CPO margins and suffering a 20% failure rate, it makes you wonder how on earth the grid is going to handle a 40-ton long-haul truck pulling up for a charge.
Oh, man.
I mean, electrifying a heavy-duty truck requires a completely different universe of power.
It is an entirely different scale engineering, which seamlessly brings us to heavy-duty and megawatt charging, or MCS, because we are finally seeing policy and capital match the sheer physics of electrifying heavy freight.
We really are. Step Cornelis and Johannes Matthees posted about Germany rolling out this massive new funding program. It's €1 billion over 4 years, specifically for e-truck charging infrastructure.
€1 billion?
Yeah. They're offering subsidies of up to €500 per installed kilowatt, and that covers depots, public hubs, stationary battery storage, everything.
That's huge.
And on the hardware side, Tim Brown gave an update on the Tesla Semi. He noted it is utilizing 1.2 megawatt charging to recover massive range like 60% of its battery in just 30 minutes.
Okay, to put 1.2 megawatts in perspective for you, a standard home might draw, say, 10 or 15 kilowatts at peak usage.
Okay.
This single truck is pulling the equivalent power of roughly 100 homes simultaneously through one single cable.
That is insane.
It requires intense liquid cooling inside the cable just to keep it from literally melting in your hands.
But wait, why the intense focus on hitting that specific 30-minute window? I mean, why not just charge it slower overnight at the depot?
Peter Boros and Simon Motter both highlighted the logistics reality here. This is why MCS is the missing link. In Europe, a truck driver is legally mandated to take a 45-minute rest break after 4.5 hours of driving.
Right, safety regulations.
Exactly. And a commercial truck is a revenue-generating asset. Every minute it sits idle outside of that legal mandate is money burned. So if you can fully recharge a 40-ton truck within that exact 45-minute window using megawatt charging, you don't lose a single minute of operational uptime.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. The charging just seamlessly hides within the existing human schedule.
Precisely. That is the unlock for zero-emission freight. And, it is not just for trucks.
Really?
Yeah, Rune Holmedal and Amin Saidi shared that PSW is actually deploying the world's first maritime MCS charging project in Norway. So we are essentially getting a universal USB-like standard for massive vessels and ferries, too.
A USB for ships? I love that. But, getting the charger installed on the dock or at the truck depot is really only half the battle. This brings to mind this brilliant analogy sourced directly from Marc-Andre Beck's post on mine electrification.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. He said, think of a fleet depot like a lake. There's a steady, constant inflow of energy from the local grid into this lake. But when a fleet of massive electric trucks returns from a shift and plugs in all at once, it causes a sudden, massive outflow.
Yes.
And you can't just build a bigger pipe to the local utility to get more grid connection. That takes years of permitting and millions of dollars. You have to orchestrate the water.
You have to orchestrate the water. That perfectly connects to Christophe Lefilibert's reality check on this exact point. He basically said, look, €1 billion for public chargers is great, but the actual bottleneck keeping fleet managers awake at night is behind the fence. It's depot energy management and grid connection limits. If fleets cannot reliably orchestrate that lake of energy, buffering it with stationary storage and solar, they will abandon the EV transition and just stick with diesel.
So it is fundamentally a software and systems problem, not just hardware.
Exactly. And Marcel Hessel emphasized this point perfectly. He pointed out that megawatt charging requires a full ISO 1511820 digital backbone.
Okay, I know that sounds like a serious string of compliance jargon.
It does.
But what does it actually mean for the truck driver plugging in? Like, why isn't it just copper touching copper, like plugging in a toaster?
Because of the sheer danger and complexity of the power transfer at that scale. The ISO standard means that when you plug the truck in, the vehicle and the charger establish a highly secure TLS encrypted communication channel.
Oh, a digital handshake.
Right. They negotiate the voltage, they monitor the battery temperature in real time, they authenticate the billing automatically, and they adjust the power draw based on what the local grid can actually handle at that exact second. You need a serious digital backbone just to manage that safely.
Well, and once you establish that encrypted bidirectional data connection, orchestrating the lake of energy inevitably leads to the final frontier of electrification, right?
Yep. Treating the vehicles themselves as part of the power grid.
Vehicle to grid, or V2X. Peter Schwer shared a really exciting update on this. He was at a live demonstration in Germany where a MAN e-truck wasn't just charging, it was actually feeding a record 325 kilowatts of power back into the depot and the public grid.
325 kilowatts, that's massive.
It proved that heavy-duty V2G isn't just a pilot theory anymore. It is real.
And the financial game changer here for your business, or just as a listener who owns an EV, is huge. Joseph de Cordeveron shared real-world data showing that if an electric car is plugged in for, say, 14 hours a day and made available for V2G, the charging costs for that driver can drop to absolute zero.
Zero. That's wild.
Because the vehicle is automatically buying electricity when demand is low and prices are cheap, and selling a small fraction of it back to the grid when demand spikes.
And Max Loeffler posted about how Ellie is making this a consumer reality right now, integrating the EVs, the dynamic tariffs, and smart meters into one system.
Exactly.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If we connect millions of massive rolling batteries to our critical national power grids, and they are all communicating via software to push and pull power autonomously, aren't we just opening the front door to massive cyber attacks?
That is the elephant in the room, and you aren't wrong.
That sounds like a hacker's dream.
Manfred Prazabilla posted a stark warning about exactly this. V2G carries real cybersecurity risks, especially when we rely on imported hardware and software systems.
Right.
We are talking about network systems that directly impact national grid stability. If the system architecture and the control aren't localized and locked down, grid operators simply will not allow the connection. Secure local control is completely non-negotiable.
That makes a lot of sense. So before we wrap up, we've covered a ton of ground today.
We have. And I want to leave everyone with a final thought to chew on regarding global execution speed. Because across all these areas, the ultimate differentiator is how fast a market can build the solution.
Yeah, Syed Haseeb Hassan recently shared his firsthand account of what he called China speed. He saw live robo-taxis in regular traffic and megawatt chargers everywhere.
Yeah, while legacy markets spend years debating grid upgrades and software standards, others are just building. And Peter Pollack posted an incredible update about Africa. Ethiopia completely banned the import of fossil fuel vehicles.
A total ban, right.
A total ban. And that drove a massive surge to 115,000 EVs on their roads, powered by local hydro and solar. So the question I'll pose to you, the listener, is this. While legacy markets debate grid upgrades and standards, are emerging markets structurally leapfrogging us through bold, immediate policy?
That is a great question to end on. If you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also check out our other editions on future mobility and market evolution, next-gen vehicle intelligence, and commercial fleet insights.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep questioning the infrastructure around you, and we'll catch you on the next one.